Delsina West, originally from Panama, shares her story of her path from the gymnastics floor, competitive bodybuilder, personal trainer in Hawaii, television show host, captain in the U.S. Army, to wellness program director for a hospital in Central Texas. Delsina's journey to wellness had setbacks as outlined in her book, Sexy Senior Citizen. Stay tuned to hear a frank discussion between two health enthusiasts.
Baransu Balance podcast with Dr. Ince emphasizes the interdependence and importance of a healthy mind, body, and soul.
Remember, this podcast is for educational purposes only and does not substitute for professional medical advice. It is important to seek the advice of your personal doctor or healthcare provider before undertaking a new healthcare regimen. Welcome, Delsina West, to another episode of Baransu Balance podcast.
Hi, glad to be here.
Yes. So, I understand that you are an author, and you have a history of being a competitive bodybuilder. Currently, you're a wellness and fitness coach. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your background. How did you get to where you are?
Well, thanks, Christina. I really appreciate it. My background is something that's really been a big passion for me. I've dabbled in quite a few things, but the current stream or theme in my whole life has always been something that had to do with health and fitness. Somehow the Lord plopped that idea into my head and it has never gone out. So whether I was active duty or running a business or doing chief operations officer, I was always somehow had to do fitness. And just to make it for a short story, I started in gymnastics and then I went into bodybuilding, got into bodybuilding, really loved how that transforms your body and your mind, surprisingly, especially for women. And then moved into personal training, nutrition coaching, until now I'm a wellness practitioner. And so I actually am doing my job that I used to do one-on-one for an entire hospital and the community at the same time. So it's challenging, but it's really very exciting also.
Okay. So how did you get into the from the armed forces? What was your job there?
So I joined the military way back in the 80s. And my idea was just to use some money for college, but I got into preventive medicine. And so that was really interesting because it's preventive medicine. It tackles everything that could make you sick, from bacterial infections to insects and so forth. And then I got a commission as an officer in a medical corps, and I became the human resource officer and then also operations officer in the military. But even while I was in the military, I trained soldiers in personal training. I also still competed myself personally, and that was always a theme throughout my career.
Okay. Did you meet your husband on the competitive field?
Let's see. We were both in the military, and I do remember meeting him on the same base that we were stationed. We were just dating and didn't really think it was going to really turn into something, but we dated for about, believe it or not, 2 months. And then he asked me to move with him on his next military move, and then we got married.
Rest is history. Okay.
33 years. 33 years.
Congratulations. I understand that you lived in Hawaii, and I just have pictures of buff people running down the beach.
Hawaii is very unique in the sense that when we lived there for 6 years. And while I was there, actually, I had the pleasure of hosting my own television fitness show, which was pretty cool. It was called Fit for Life PT. And the premise of the show was to show people how they could get a workout in any type of environment. So we would go to a playground or to a beach or to an empty lot and show people how to do that. And Hawaii has people who are very, very fit. And then it also has people who are very, very unfit.
Okay.
And so you're either in one of those two groups.
Okay. Well,
I grew up in California and a lot of bike trails and hiking trails there. I'd like to transport some of that. And what are you doing now in your work with the hospital?
Well, right now, as the team member wellness manager, I'm trying to bring easy and simple methods for the team members to incorporate more holistic lifestyle. You know, in a medical facility, it's very high stress, very active, and people are always they care for other people all the time. But you see tragically that a lot of providers don't care for themselves. Nurses, technicians, doctors, so ancillary staff. And so I'm trying to help them to see that wholeness and wellness is not an hour-long workout in the gym and eating broccoli and chicken all day. And so we try to incorporate simple things like challenges where we try to get you to eat 5 vegetables a day, or walking challenges. Let's just increase your steps on a regular period. Or something where we try to teach them how to relax. Learn to take a 5 minute or 15-minute break throughout your day so you can calm your mind, because that has to do with your wholeness and your wellness. So that's I work on doing initiatives like that and try to make them fun, easy, accessible, and as you know, it's a long-term process. So I try to help people to realize wellness, wholeness, fitness is not just about pounds on the scale. Because I think a lot of people think about that right away when they think about fitness or health. It's about the pounds on the scale. But there's so many other aspects to wellness: spiritual, emotional, physical, psychological, environmental. And so all these things have to come into play in order to really address issues.
Okay, so have you personally had struggles with physical fitness, and how did you overcome some of those struggles?
Actually, yes, I have. Throughout my 26 years in the military, if any one of you has ever been in the military, you know it's very hard charging lifestyle, and especially if you're an officer, you have to lead by example. So I never really took time off. I'm going to be talking about myself. I didn't take time off to take care of my medical needs. And it seems like immediately after I retired, my joints said, okay, we're not in the Army anymore. Let's just go ahead and just fall apart, which is basically what happened. About a year after my retirement, I lost motion in my arm. I found out that I was having some nerve problems, and it came from my spinal cord and my C5, 6, and 7. So I had to have that fused and a new cadaver bone in there. Then I found out that I was suffering from avascular necrosis in my hip, and I had to get a hip replacement. Then I had severe shoulder impingement. I had a rotator cuff tear, but that wasn't enough. Eventually, I had to get a complete shoulder replacement. And on top of that, I've had flat feet and severe foot problems, which they really shouldn't have let me in with that issue, but they let me in. And so I eventually had to have surgery on my toes to regulate my feet. So I think let's see, I had a shoulder replacement, hip replacement, spinal fusion in my back. I don't call it hysterectomy, but I had to have an emergency hysterectomy also. So I've had quite a few replacements. So I call myself like a bionic woman, you know?
Okay. Is there
Can't go to the airport.
any advice that you would give your younger self?
Oh my goodness.
Fitness,
So one
taking
of the
time for
things,
yourself.
yeah, with having these particular surgeries, if anyone's had any type of major surgery, you know there's a long recovery road with each particular surgery. And it's better or healthier for you to at least have a healthier life diet and a more active lifestyle before and after. What saved me with getting back to my range of motion completely with after all those surgeries was really adhering to a good nutrition and trying to be as active as possible. One of the things doctors always tell you right after surgery is stick to your physical therapy. Do your physical therapy, don't miss out on that, and then go beyond. So many people, they'll barely do their physical therapy and then they won't do anything else. And then find out that they have limited range of motion or they can't do anything that they used to do physically. So their physical health drops. They don't eat well, and it's just a downward spiral into your health and your abilities in life. And if you want to have a good quality of life, you've got to do those little things like drink plenty of water, Eat as much whole foods as possible before surgery, during your recovery, and after. It makes a huge difference in your ability to get back up and live a good life because most of us don't want to necessarily go to the gym and work out or love doing cardio. The result actually is we want to we want to live an active life. We want to have energy. You want to wear sexy clothes.
Title of the
Which is
book here.
why, yes, I wrote the book Sexy Senior Citizen
Okay.
because sexiness is a state of mind. And it's nice to
Okay.
be able to have a body that is physically capable and able to do the things you want to do. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So our podcast is about the importance of the balance between the mind, body, and soul. And today we're talking about the body. And tell me a little bit about your fitness routine.
Okay, so when I was in my 30s, my fitness routine was very, very challenging because at that time I was really into the bodybuilding. So just to give you a perspective, um, at that time my diet was extremely strict. So I would tell anybody out there, if you want to be a bodybuilder, that's great, but our diet isn't exactly the most healthiest because it is extremely limited. But I would work out about 2 to 3 hours a day and eating was everything that I focused on and supplementation. That's not attainable on a long term. So now my workout program is one that I can do almost anywhere, anytime. So currently I do about a 30 to 40 minute cycle first thing in the morning. I'm an early morning riser. I get up about 4:30, 5 o'clock a.m. and I do my devotion because I have to start my day with my mind focused on the right thing. I do my cycling and then I do really only about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes of weight training 3 to 4 times a week. But when I
The
but
cycling that's in the house or out of
yeah,
the
I have yeah, I
house?
have a cycle actually in my dressing room.
Okay.
So it's really convenient. So that's one of the reasons why I do it every day because I just roll out of my bed and roll into my dressing room and I get the cycling going. I put on my fun music and it's off to the races.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you work out in the gym? Do you have a
Yes.
home gym or you
So
go?
I do have a home gym,
Mhm.
but my husband and I started working back out again together. So we go to the local gym around the corner. And the thing that makes a difference is when you go to the gym, you need to have a program of action, just like anything else. You can't just go in there wandering around, figuring out, well, today I'll work my legs. Oh, well, tomorrow I'll work my arms. You really have to have a plan. So you want
How do
to
you recommend that? How do you recommend a beginner going to the gym? Should you look up have a trainer or, look up steps to building muscles?
Well, I think having a personal trainer is very beneficial because they're going to, first of all, show you how to work out without injuring yourself. And then they can also give you a plan of action.
How do
But
you know if someone is a good personal trainer?
you can ask them about their certifications. Now, there's some certifications online where you can just go online and do a quick 1 hour test, but I wouldn't trust those. You want someone to go to national certification that's well known, like International Sports Association or AFA, American Fitness and Aerobics Association, or NASM, National Association of Sports Medicine. You want to ask them if they have a certification, and you want to ask them how long they've been doing it. And also, you want to ask them what's their area of specialty. What do they focus on? Because just because a person is really muscular in the gym that you see, that's not necessarily the right person that should train you, especially if you're a beginner. They might want to put you onto a squat rack and you fail, then you get discouraged and you don't want to come back to the gym again.
Right.
So you need someone who can understand your goals and will create a program that's ideal for you, regardless of what it is. That's the most important thing I tell people. It doesn't matter what the latest fad is or what somebody else is doing. You need to create a program that you are going to stick to. So you start with a few days a week, two minimum, ideally three, and pick it at a time and place that you know you'll be able to go to on a regular basis.
So you said you go about 3 times a week and you go with the plan. You just don't look to see what's available.
Yes. And so actually I go 4 times a week. Right now I'm kind of ramping up my training, but I'll go a minimum of 4 times, more like five, because what I do is right now to keep the workouts short, I just focus on one body part per day so that I'll get my whole training routine done in 1 week. So for example, one day I'll work on my chest muscles, pectoral muscles. Next day I'll work on my leg muscles, and I'll work on my back muscles. Then I'll work on my arm muscles, and then I'll work ancillary muscles. And that way, because you want to be able to train all of your body parts within 1 week, however you break it up.
I watched one of your podcasts, and you've been doing this for years, actually. And I think it was recently, you said if you had to choose between a fitness routine between aerobics and strength building, that you would go with the strength building at this
Every
point
time.
in your life. And why is that?
I think that actually works well for most people, particularly women. Strength training is going to stimulate the muscle fibers. And when you stimulate the muscle fibers, your entire body has to go into a process of breaking down and rebuilding tissue. That is a process that takes time throughout your body. And so it creates a long-term change. And when you have that long-term change, you can continue to build on it. Cardiovascular activity is great. It is good for your heart and your vascular system. But when you see those calories on the elliptical, for example, or the treadmill, and it says, oh, you burned 320 calories. Well, if you go went right after that and ate a bagel for 320 calories, that just washes that out to zero. So it's as if you didn't do anything. But if you weight trained, you're creating physiological chemical changes in your body that last longer, even though they take longer to show up. So that's why I would say weight training all the time. If you only can do one or two in a day, do the weight training.
I'm a walker, and one of my goals was to walk 15,000 steps a day. I calculated that would take me approximately 3 hours, but it's a good goal.
It's a good goal. We actually just had a walking challenge in my department,
Mhm.
and the goal was for myself to get to 10,000, and no, actually it was 13,000. But what that forces you to do is get up off your seat and move around as much as possible. So
Right, right. I
that's
have
what.
a friend, Judy. She says that, oh yes, when I was working, I got that many steps easily. I said, well, then you must have never sat down the whole entire day. And she said, that's correct.
It's very true. You just get up and go all the time. They're tired of seeing. I walk around the hospital so much. People at the front desk are, "Where are you going now? Where are you going now?" But you got to stay busy. You know the old theory about physics. A body at rest stays at rest. A body in
Oh,
motion stays at motion.
I
So
remember that.
yes, so it's very important to continue to do that in
Keep
whatever capacity
moving.
you have.
Keep
Huh?
moving. Keep moving.
That's right. Keep moving.
Okay,
Yes.
so our target audience is a group of people that are working and maybe have young kids and don't really think that they're going to get to a stage where their inactivity is going to catch up with them, and maybe use any thoughts for that group.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, when you're younger, you think that you're invincible, but you readily, once you get into your 30s and 40s, you realize that's not true. That chocolate bar is not going to just disappear; it's going to stick right to those hips. And so, it's important as you go through life that you start looking at the habits that you have now that you think are on occasion. For example. Um, One of the things that people don't pay attention to is if they maybe say they go out after work with their friends. Oh, we just go out every now and then. And you go to a bar and grill, you're going to get french fries, hamburgers, chicken wings, those kind of things. And then you think it's infrequent because you're not tracking it. And then you wonder maybe about 2 or 3 months later, you notice some weight gain and some sluggishness. And you think, well, I'm not doing anything that much, but you're not aware of this on the unconscious habits that you started to create. So I'll tell people all the time, if you really want to make a change, you have to um, count what matters. So if you really wanted to see how your lifestyle was in your diet and exercise, track yourself for a week, for 7 days. You track everything that you eat, like a picture, and track how much activity you've done. Maybe you have a watch and you see how many steps you take. In a week's time, you might realize that you ended up going out to eat 3 times instead of in your back of your mind, you thought it was once. And you might have only moved 3,000 steps when you thought you were moving around a lot more. And so when you see a picture like that, it's kind of like when you take a picture of yourself and you think you look really great, and then you look at the picture and you realize, oh, no, I don't look that great. That helps you to get a start base of where you are if you really want to make a change.
So
And then,
I heard that when people say they're going to walk, I'm back to the steps
yeah,
or the miles. People say, well, I'm going to walk for 30 minutes a day or exercise 30 minutes a day. And in their mind's eye, they've achieved that goal. But if you, for instance, there's a study that compared people who exercised 30 minutes a day or people who walked a set number of miles, 2 or 4 miles a day. The people that so-called exercised 30 minutes a day actually did worse because
yeah,
in their mind's eye, they've exercised 30 minutes when in fact it was actually 20 minutes. And then maybe they rewarded themselves, like you said, with a bagel.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So it's better to me to actually have a more concrete goal.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
Delsina, I have a question. I'm going
Yeah.
to use you as my personal trainer. I do not like the treadmill. And, even if it's 100 degrees out or 30 degrees out. And in my mind's eye, oh, I like to play tennis. I haven't played tennis, since I was maybe had a teen attached to my name. So any suggestions for someone like myself who, wants to be physically fit, but
Yeah.
doesn't like the treadmill?
Yeah, I don't really care for cardio too much either. So I have to do a lot of things to make myself do it. The first thing is, what is your definition of physically fit for you?
Um, long term,
Okay.
long-term outcome. So
And
physical fit would me to me be able to if I should choose to, run 100-meter dash without having a heart attack, or do some rock climbing, or even go skiing if I wanted to without passing out.
hmm
And
um,
for me, the goal is not just the way I look, but the way I feel, and my mind. I feel better when I'm physically fit. Like you said, not sluggish, not depressed. You know.
in general, without doing a full assessment on you, I think one of the things that would be beneficial for your goal is to add resistance training,
Yeah.
weight training, but not necessarily with dumbbells. First, starting out with body weight training, things like body weight squats, body weight push ups, sit ups. There is a whole series of exercises you can do that just require your body weight. And what that does for you is it strengthens your muscles and strengthens your bones and has you to have more energy and more strength. And then you can do all those physical things we like to do, go rock climbing or etc. But you have to have physical strength to do that. When you start exercising more with weights, then your body will require a little bit more food intake, right? A lot of times as older women, I don't want to eat because I don't want to get fat. But actually, that's not right. You need to eat according to what your body needs. And when you start weight training, your body recognizes, oh, we have an active muscle and tissue that requires nutrition. So then you start eating better or more, which supports that growth and development. which gives you more energy to even do more. So once you start having more energy, then you feel, okay, I'm going to go walking for, and trying to do 15,000 at one time is steps is a lot. So you need to break that up into
Oh, it would
small.
have to be broken up. Yes.
Yeah, you have to break it up. I'm going to walk 20 minutes this time and then 10 minutes the next time. And that progresses consistently. But I think, are you doing any type of weight training now?
I,
Resistance?
I go to the gym once or twice a week, and I'm one of those that just looks around the gym, see what's available, and I'll do 15 reps a time. Uh, and I try to hit all the muscles, biceps, triceps, quad.
One day. I
Yeah.
think for you, if you had a good set of bands and you could do a 15, 20-minute workout every 5 days a week, that would be much better for you.
Mm.
Because it won't take a lot of time and you could be more consistent because consistency is really important. Once or twice a week, you're just kind of just getting in there a little bit, just enough to annoy your body, annoy your muscles.
I was trying to do it 3 times a week, but somehow it drifted down to once or twice a week.
Exactly. And then you're not seeing the results that you would like to see, right?
Right, right.
So if you were to back it down to body weight training,
So
15 minutes a
one other question, Coach West. I'm a lifelong vegetarian. I don't know how many of our listeners are, but recently I've been thinking about enough protein. What's your opinion about protein in your diet?
It has to be balanced with everything else. Granted, most of our tissues, our muscle tissues and so forth, are the building blocks are protein, but you can get plenty of necessary protein from a completely vegetarian diet. And for most people who are vegetarian or vegan, the only thing they have to supplement with is B vitamins. So you just need to make sure that you're getting enough protein from the fruits and from the diet, because there are lots of vegetarians too who eat a lot of processed foods and junk foods, cookies. A cookie is not meat, but I'm sure there are a lot of overweight, unhealthy vegetarians who eat cookies and cakes and pies. They're like, well, it's not meat, but yeah, it's not healthy. So, but you need to make sure you get enough of that protein, at least 15 to 20% of your diet from um, the vegetable and grain and fruits that can give you the protein you need.
Okay, well, I mean, Delsina West. Oh, I'm the doctor, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been nice chatting. And anything else, any other physical fitness tips
Tips?
for our listeners today?
Yes. The first thing I would say is start wherever you are in your life. 18-year-old, 80-year-old, the first thing to do is start and start small. Small steps create big changes. So if the only thing you can do every day is 5 push-ups before you go to bed, I tell people, if you're praying before you go to bed and you're on your knees, just drop down a little bit lower and get out, do a push-up. Even if it's only one, you will get better. And I'm telling you, if you start small,
Well,
your
I'm
body,
sorry, what type of push-ups,
well, if you can
Coach
only do
West?
it on your knee, then you do that. But eventually you'll be able to go to full body push-ups. And every time you have a success, it motivates you to have more success, right? So I
Right.
always tell people that start small and just think of what you can do right now today. You can't do anything about what happened yesterday. You didn't do anything, but you can't do anything about it. And you have no control over what's happening tomorrow. So all you need to do is focus on what can I do today to improve my health and fitness and do that thing.
Okay.
And what I will also recommend is that you buy my book, The
Oh,
Sexy Senior Citizen. It is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And it's not just if you're a senior citizen. It's a book of stories about challenges and overcoming some very serious issues, some military experience. in a fun, anecdotal way, like I was talking to you as you were my friend. And I would love your support if you picked up this book, Sexy Senior Citizen: How to Stay Sleek, Sexy, and Strong as You Age.
Absolutely. So when I was growing up and when my kids were growing up, I wouldn't even use the word sex. I would say sex.
Yeah, but now, hey, sexy is a mindset. It is a mindset. Yeah, I am
Right.
sexy because I'm strong and I'm confident. And when I walk into a room, I don't walk in with my head down. I walk up with my head up because God put a crown on it, right?
Amen. Okay. All right. Thank you. So we meet again.
You too. Thanks for the chat. I appreciate it. I had a great time.
Thank you.
I enjoyed talking with Delsina. I challenge each of you to consider yourself sexy and strong, no matter what your age. Dare I say this? This is Dr. Christine Ince wishing you a sexy, balanced, healthy mind, body, and soul. Please like, share, comment, and hit the subscribe button.